This is a 2v2 game in Medieval 2 Total War submitted by Branc, who's also known as Gualt or Gualtierrezzo. He is playing here as the Egyptians, and this time around we are allied in this Desert 2v2. Let's speed up through the deployment phase here. So, he has brought with him... Well, let's go ahead and wait for the deployments to wrap up. So our plan is to take this hill here and use that as a base against our opponents, which have some important advantages that we don't have in this battle. That principally being the advantages of the Spain faction, which have access to Pavis crossbowmen, and he has a lot of them. So this is Criminal Copy Kill, another very good Medieval 2 player, arguably one of the best. I'm sorry, not arguably one of the best, arguably the best player, in my opinion. Definitely one of the best players. So he's brought with him a very strong ranged component of how many of these Pavis units? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Pavis crossbowmen. So that should be more than enough to force us off the hill here. So they definitely have the ranged advantage. Let's go ahead and take a look at our armies here. So for ranged units, Gualt has brought 1, 2, 3, 4 Desert Archers, which are supported by some spear units, or a spear unit. Desert Archers are half decent, but they'll get torn apart by the Pavis units, let alone 7 of them. They should be competitive against the Byzantines, though. And it looks like they may have scored a couple of kills already. Heavy infantry, tabarderia, which are a strong two-handed unit, but really the real advantage that the Egyptians bring to the table. Let's go ahead and turn down the sound a little bit here. Okay, so the real advantage that the Egyptians bring to the table are the Royal Mamluks. Their bodyguards are great too, but Royal Mamluks are, right with the Tsar's Guard, is the best heavy cavalry in the game. Especially since they can take multiple upgrades, and they can be overpowered and very dangerous. And I think this is something that's happened after this game. This game's like 2 years old. I'm just hosting it now, but you'll see a lot of gimmicky armies with very strong Mamluks that are basically overpowered and can just cut through anything. As anyone who's played Medieval 2 multiplayer knows, cavalry is probably more critical in Medieval 2 than it is in any other game. And if you have extremely strong, overpowered cavalry, it gives you a tremendous advantage. So here, Criminal's going for an all-out assault here with his cav. Not an all-out assault, but he's moving forward aggressively. This, I think, is a mistake because he has invested heavily in these Pavis units, and you know these Pavis units are kind of your standard elite ranged unit in the game, in games where gunpowder isn't allowed, and he can definitely overpower us and force us off the hill if he deploys these here. But it looks like he's not going to take advantage of that. He's running up the hill. His army is also unusual for Spain. I think he was trying to challenge himself here, so he's not bringing any conquistador units. He's bringing 3 chivalric knights and a couple swordsmen militia. So he's charging up here. I was kind of captured unawares here. I should have gotten a downhill charge maybe on some of this infantry. No, I would have lost the cav. So my main line consists, my infantry line consists of 4 urban militia and 4 dismounted Christian guard. This is the best infantry in this game right now. I'm sorry, in this individual battle. They have the same stats as conquistador units, which are overpowered Iberian faction infantry, but my opponent hasn't brought conquistadors. I suspect, since it's Criminal Copy Kill, that he's trying to challenge himself here because I suspect he knows exactly what he's doing. Urban Militia is just a very good middle-tier unit that the Moors have access to. Peasant Crossbowmen are a very powerful tool in the Moorish arsenal. And, you know, they have a shorter range than Pavis units, but they distribute the same amount of damage, so they are very competitive. And since I have this hill, you know, they are deadly, but he has 7 Pavis. If he moved them up here, he could have easily forced us off his hill, especially considering Egypt here just has desert archers. Let's take a look at the Byzantines real quick. Okay, dismount in Latin Con. I think they have similar stats to Feudal Knights. Varangian Guard, best two-handed unit in the game. Substantial investment. Byzantine Lancers, same as Byzantine Infantry, so those are very good mid-tier units, so they're probably a little bit better than the Urban Militia. Just under Feudal Knight tier, so they're a little bit less than the Latin Con. Varangian Guard are a good unit, but two-handed units are bugged in this game, so I think they're not really worth the cost investment. Let's see who that player is. Shadow. That's a not familiar with that player. This might even date the Steam multiplayer for Medieval 2. This is probably back when GameSpot was up. If anybody remembers that. It wasn't that long ago. It's like 3 years ago. I act like it was 10 years ago. So I'm kind of confused by our enemy strategy because, again, with these Pavis units, I think they really could have forced us off the hill. He did manage to get my crossbow units with his cav charge, but I've countered charge. I used my Moors Guard to block the charge of the Spanish heavy infantry, which was an uphill engagement. And I'm coming in now with the Christian Guard, which should devastate these units. And in fact, I've managed to sort of achieve a flank here. Not much of one, but I am attacking on his side. My cavalry is not doing well because chivalric knights are much stronger than Moorish Christian Guard. So yeah, we have a good Reconquista battle happening here. Tabarderia, I think the Byzantines are not a competitive faction in multiplayer, full stop, unless it's an early period battle. This is a full period battle, I think with 15k funds, florins or whatever. I think the Byzantines could definitely win this engagement because the best Egyptian heavy infantry just isn't all that good. My urban militia is already beginning the retreat. Actually, I'm sure they've been in retreat for a minute here. I'm trying to support my ally here, but this unit's about to get taken out. Cataphractoi are terrible heavy infantry for the price. Is one of the bugs, really, in Medieval 2, how bad Byzantine cavalry are. Did I say infantry? I meant cavalry. So Cataphractoi are very poor heavy infantry. I think they have the same... They might have, correct me if I'm wrong, have the same statistics as, or same stats as Stradiots, which are the notoriously powerful Venetian light infantry that can move at a speed of 3. Well, these are heavy infantry that can only move at... Heavy cavalry, sorry, that can move at a speed of 1.
Allah have mercy. We have lost half of our men.
So things are not really going well for us. I actually don't remember how this one turns out. We're not doing well right now. So even though we had the uphill advantage, probably I had the infantry advantage versus Spain, but I'm losing here. It's possible because I didn't get the charge with the Christian Guard.
Bloodied. They have lost half their men.
Alright, let's take a look here. Tabarderia doing work. Medieval 2, you know, can really have slower battles than a lot of the later games. Sudanese tribesmen are a good lighter infantry or middle tier infantry unit, but I'm getting cut up here. I'm sort of... I probably could have manipulated these units a little bit better, brought these around, but they're really not in a good engagement here. I have Spanish infantry attacking my crossbows, and most of his crossbows, they've taken some serious casualties. I may have gotten some cavalry back in there. Our lines are crumbling. This really doesn't look too good. This Byzantine infantry is coming up the hill here. Yeah, we have a number of new units that have been destroyed or are in retreat. You know what, this game might be a little bit longer, so there might be something interesting coming up, but if you had to call it right now, it looks like that this game is not in our favor. So part of the problem, I think, with my infantry engagement here is I had kind of some bunched up units here that I really should have had spread out. And again, we still have the uphill advantage, and that goes a long way.
Enemy are badly bloodied. They have lost half their men.
That's true, but we lost half our men a heck of a lot earlier. The Barbaria, I would be surprised if they would hold out against Laticon.
Praise be to Allah! The enemy's general lies dead.
Well, that's good news for us, but that's kind of an unusual choice for a general's unit, is being within infantry.
The accursed enemy has slain our ally. We must look to our own soldiers for victory now.
Alright, so I think, yeah, my general's still standing. Egyptian general is dead. I don't even know where our general's bodyguard unit is in all this mess. Okay, that's a decent charge, maybe, on this Latin but they're exhausted. And remember, desert units get a bonus. I'm sorry, Middle Eastern units get a bonus in a desert map like this. But we have managed to force the Spanish infantry back, and that is remarkable because it looked like they were beating us for a long time there. I'm going to take this opportunity to flank the Byzantines, who are slowly working their way through the Egyptian infantry here. This is interesting because it looks like both sides have almost totally exhausted their cavalry forces. So things are evening out a little bit more. They still definitely have the balance bar advantage. So we have not far from 90% ally casualties, and yet we're still trucking along here. Some of the retreated Spanish units are marching back up the hill. Look at all these bodies. This is very intense. It looks like we... Alright, there's still some of these heavy Egyptian units left. And let's see here. So some of these Spanish units, which are exhausted, are returning from routing. So that's probably why, even though Spain looked like it was winning, it ended up losing that engagement here, because the units were totally exhausted coming. I mean, Criminal had them running from all the way over here, and in a desert map, that exhaustion is going to be pretty catastrophic. So they're on the retreat again. I'm getting a charge in here on Laticon that are exhausted. That could be enough to break them, and it was. So someone admitted defeat. So the Byzantine player admitted defeat. Like I said before, I rarely see the Byzantines as being competitive in this game in multiplayer, which is a shame really, because historically it's such a cool medieval faction or medieval nation, the Byzantine Empire. So this really is a surprising turnaround. This is a very interesting battle.
It appears to be running in our favor. From good tidings such as these, does victory spring forth.
Typically, when the bar's not in your favor in this game, midway through battle, when you lose half your men, when the narrator mentions that,
the general was bolder than a rooster and allowed him to rejoice. The infidel general lies dead.
So we lost our general there, which is going to be very bad for our militia unit morale, and definitely for our peasant crossbows. They should still have the advantage with their Pavis units if they can bring them back from routing. What was I saying? So typically in Medieval 2, or really any Total War games, once you lose the balance of power, it's very rare to make a comeback. So You know, typically when that happens midway through a battle. So the fact that we managed to recover this much is pretty amazing. Even though, I mean, we even have more units lost, or more individuals lost than our opponents. We're still holding out strong here. Let's speed this up here. So
Victory is well within our grasp. In time, our foe will surely see this and lose heart.
So I'm charging in and in here with my Christian Guard. Remember, these Pavis units have terrible morale, so they're very easy to make around. I think they have a morale level of 3. But we're keeping our infantry up here. Energy recovery is extremely slow in medieval too, and you know it's very difficult to recover your energy from very tired. So I think it's best to leave these units up here. They're not going to be effective chasing around these Pavis units. Here, Gualt is charging them with heavy infantry. This will not end well, but we really have this battle wrapped up. If he can come, see, here we go. This is dangerous. So he has enough Pavis crossbow units to really give us a hard time here. I'm bringing up my peasant crossbowmen. And desert archers with flames should be sort of a morale shock, but it's not going to be very dangerous to them because they're well armored for missile attacks. I decided to run my infantry to them, just hoping to break their morale.
But only by a sword's edge.
And it succeeded. This is a very interesting battle. I'm very glad that Branc, Gualtierreza, whatever you want to call him, sent it in. Very interesting. Criminal is a very difficult opponent to beat in this game. He's definitely one of the best, maybe the best player in the game. He's definitely up there. So huge numbers of kills with the bodyguard, Royal Mamluk. So with the Egyptian faction, that's really what they're bringing to the table. Arab cavalry or light cavalry, not very competitive except for maybe chasing down skirmishers. But when you're playing against the Byzantines, the Byzantines have things like, I think, Byzantine Guard archers, which actually are pretty decent morale. I'm not sure our opponent brought those. So yeah, we're not looking at, because I played as the Moors, so these are Gualt's statistics here. And very good game. Very interesting game. Certainly one that I remember enjoying playing. Hope y'all enjoyed watching that. So that's this video.